What's up? I got music now, y'all. Welcome back to the show once again. Trying to get set up, getting a little more organized over here and whatnot. So a lot has happened so far. I've only put up one video and a lot of stuff has happened, especially speaking in the NBA, right? Because even though I didn't want this to be like an NBA podcast or whatever, it seems like it's headed that way. Oh well, I'm pretty sure I'm not just gonna dedicate this to NBA, but right now this is what's happening. Right now, the NBA is in full swing, and like I said, a lot has happened in the first 10 games or so. I think I don't know how many games we've seen play already. Let's hope this thing doesn't cut off. Nope, there it goes. Oh well, trial and error. But anyways, yeah. So far we've gone to maybe like 20 games or so. Let's look at what the standings are right now. Let me start off with the standings then. So currently in the East, we got at number 1 Toronto. Below them at number 2 is Milwaukee, the Bucks, and then Philadelphia at number 3. So much to talk about Philadelphia right now, but I'll hold off for a little second on that. Indiana is at number 4. Boston is at number 5. Not liking that at all. Detroit, number 6. I'm only gonna read up to number to 8, and then I'll tell you who the last person is in the East and in the West, and then overall. Okay, so number 6 is Detroit, and number 7 is Charlotte, right? And at 8 we have Brooklyn. And last night, actually Brooklyn. Today is the November 10th, 2008, and last night I think Brooklyn gave the Denver Nuggets their first home loss, so that was pretty impressive. I forgot who it was that went off, but I was following the game as much as I could last night, but that was pretty crazy because a lot of people were like, the Brooklyn Nets kind of suck right now, which, I mean, I don't know, they aren't the best team, but yeah, I mean, I never thought they were gonna beat Denver. Because right now Denver is like the hottest team, or one of the hottest teams, especially in the West, which is unpredictable, right? Like, how many of you guys really, unless you're a Denver Nuggets fan, how many of you guys predicted the Denver Nuggets were going to be this good? I couldn't call it. I was actually thinking, I'm choking like on my own words right now, but okay. I suspected that the Houston Rockets were going to do really good. However, that seems to not be the case right now. So the Brooklyn Nets took out the Denver Nuggets yesterday, which are on top, or one of the teams that are on the top of the West. And hanging all the way at the bottom of the East is really no surprise. And it's actually quite sad that the LeBron effect is 100% real. And that's Cleveland is at the number 15 spot, in the last spot in the Eastern Conference. So it's crazy to think that someone like LeBron, well, it's not crazy because LeBron James is one of the greatest teams, but it's one of the greatest players. However, it's just it's insane how one player really I don't know, solidifies an entire team. Once this is like it is the second time that LeBron James has left the Cleveland Cavaliers, and both those times the Cleveland Cavaliers ended up sucking, and that's how they got number 1 picks like back to back or whatever, which was pretty crazy. They didn't keep any of those picks either, by the way. I don't even know where Anthony Bennett's at, or any of these people. Andrew Wiggins, I think he's playing for the Timberwolves and all that stuff. More news on the Timberwolves in a little bit. But yeah, does Andrew Wiggins still play for the Timberwolves? I don't even remember. It's just like, I don't know. Well, whatever. It's not like I have a tablet here and I can check, but whatever. So I just think it's crazy how a team could go from being really, really good, like the Cavaliers, who made it to the finals, right? Who won a championship, I think, like the year before or something like that. They won a championship, and then they went to the finals, and they were doing really good. And as soon as LeBron James leaves, that team is done for. It's toast. It's the last team in the East, right? So I don't know what to say about that. I mean, it's crazy how important LeBron James could be to a team for him to like bring them to play at the level that they were at, and then when he's gone, it's like it's just it's terrible, right? So we'll see what happens with LeBron James and the Lakers, because we'll see if he. I'm pretty sure he's gonna. He signed a 5-year contract, so at least for the next 5 years, if that gets renewed. Um, we'll see what's gonna happen with LeBron, how much changes the Lakers are gonna go through, or whatever. But now let's go to the West. Right now, it's no surprise that the Golden State Warriors right now are number one. I mean, everybody suspected that. Everybody, called that the Golden State Warriors were going to be really good. And, because they have a stacked team. And even when their good players are out, they're still very, very talented. I mean, I think last night Draymond Green was out, and they still killed it. They still haven't even gotten a chance to use DeMarcus Cousins, who's still out with injury. But once he comes back, it's like, how much stronger are the Golden State Warriors allowed to be? They're really strong. So other than that, we have Portland at number 2, which I'm not a Portland Trailblazers fan per se, but I like when I see Portland doing good. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because I like black and red or whatever. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but ever since, I think it's because my cousin, he was a big Portland Trailblazers fan, and I don't know. Every time we would go hang out or something, and his team would play, and my team would play, we'd cheer for each other's teams, which is actually not true. I'd kind of just cheer for his team, and he didn't care about mine. What a jerk. Anyways, Portland Trailblazers. I always like to see them do good. They got Damian Lillard still, and CJ McCollum. I think he's still on the team. I think. And like I said, I'm not going to pretend like I know everything that I'm talking about, because I don't. I'm going to get all kinds of things wrong, right? But that's the beauty of it. And like I said earlier, Denver, they got off on like one of the best starts in the entire league. I mean, I think they were the last undefeated team, maybe. No one's undefeated now. That's what's crazy right now, because back, well, I don't know, but we've seen, let's see, so far teams have played mostly 11 to 12 games, maybe. So in 11 to 12 games, we have no more undefeated teams. We have, let's see, do we have any winless teams? We have no winless teams. Every team has won at least one game, and every team has lost at least one game. So below Denver at number 4, we got Oklahoma City Thunder, which they got off to a rocky start, and we was kind of worried about Russell Westbrook, because he was dealing with injury. He came back and he played like Russell Westbrook, and then he's kind of dealing with on again and off again soreness and injury. So we'll see how that plays off with Russell Westbrook. And let's see, what else do we got? San Antonio sitting at number 5. The Grizzlies at number 6, Sacramento at number 7, and the Clippers at number 8. So there's a huge shift right now in the West. I mean, we saw a couple new teams that weren't in the wouldn't be considered in the top 8 teams in the West that are in here, and I would say Sacramento hasn't been, in the top 8 teams in the West in quite a while. All right, and for them to be back, it's pretty cool to see that. The Clippers, again, they were good ever since the Clip Show was a thing with Doc Rivers, and they're still fighting for, if we were to go to the playoffs right now, they'd be fighting for a playoff spot with Utah, because right now the Clippers are 6-5 and Utah is 6-6. So if we were to go to the playoffs in a week, you would see like just a giant push for the Clippers to stay in the playoffs. Which last season, I think they I don't quite remember what standing they were at the end of the season, but they sure did make it to the playoffs. And this is without Blake Griffin. Remember, was he traded, or did he sign? Does anybody know? I don't. I'm asking like there's someone in here with me, and there's nobody here. I feel stupid, but yeah. They're without Blake Griffin now, who's playing for the Detroit Pistons, which I think on one of the nights he scored on one of the games. I forgot who they played against, but he scored like 51, I think, and that was impressive. And then yeah, but that was kind of like his biggest game. I think it might have been against Philadelphia. And then yeah, I think it was against Philadelphia, and Joel Embiid was talking all kinds of smack on Drummond. He feels like he can get in Drummond's head and whatnot, and And yeah, so that was pretty crazy. There's been a few. You know what's so insane is that there's been a few players already that have scored like 49, 50, and whatnot. It's been a very competitive. I don't know if I would say it's very competitive, but it's very score happy. The way the league has been going right now, people are not afraid to shoot. It's been like everyone's shooting threes everywhere. I've only gotten a chance to see a few games, so just because I don't have like the league pass or I don't have any of that stuff, so when I do get to watch games, it's real special. So I pay attention very well. But anyways, at the bottom of the West, we got Phoenix, which they still have contention. They're still very young. I think who was it that totally torched the Celtics? I think it was what, Jamal Murray. Was it Jamal Murray? I don't remember who it was. Let me hold on. Let me see if I'm gonna use my iPad here because I can. Who was the one that totally cooked us? No, you know what? I'm thinking of a different game. Oh, Jamal Murray plays for the Utah Jazz. I'm sorry. Wait. Oh my gosh, I don't want to look that stupid, so I gotta look at what I'm looking at. So, dude, I have no idea. Your boy's an idiot. Your boy's very dumb, right? Do I have no idea who cooked us this Jamal Murray for the Denver Nuggets cooked us. The Boston Celtics, right? Yeah, that was not fun to watch. I was very angry. As a matter of fact, I stopped watching the game because we could not stop Jamal Murray. I think that night he scored like 48 or something like that. And then he went to shoot to try to make it a 50. And I guess Kyrie Irving really ticked them off or whatever. But it's like, man, honestly, if I was young and I was in the league and I was so close to hitting 50, I'd probably do the same thing. Who cares who I'm playing against, right? So let's see. Yeah, at the bottom we got Phoenix. Again, we got I don't know, Phoenix. I think they were beating the Celtics. I think maybe last night by like 20 or something, or 22. And then the Celtics rallied back and won that game. So or did we lose that game? Dude, I don't know what I'm talking about. It's not even early in the morning. It's like noon, or it's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So being tired is not an excuse. So, man, so many things have happened in the news right now, man. It's been crazy. Just recently, this happened like overnight. Like I went to sleep last night, didn't check I was checking the news here and there, and I woke up this morning, opened up my news, my NBA news on my iPad, and guess what I see? Uh, uh, ooh, why can't I talk right now? What's going on? But Jimmy Butler, I just went a blank and I couldn't remember Jimmy Butler's first name. All right, but Jimmy Butler was traded. He was traded to the 76ers, man. Do you realize how angry that makes me? Especially because Joel Embiid's not going to shut the hell up about this. Oh, trust the process. Trust the process. I get it, man. I get it. You believe in some sort of witchcraft process that obviously is paying off right now. So I kind of got to give it to Joel Embiid, who's been trusting the process for this long. Let's see how this works. But he's expected to sign an extension soon with the Philadelphia 76ers. So not only did Jimmy Butler get traded, but he's also expected to stay. So all my hopes, all of them, all of my hopes of Jimmy Butler joining the Boston Celtics kind of been kaput, right? So was that fun to see? I don't think so. But at the same time, it's like the last thing you want to see is someone with an all-star caliber, just being an all-star player and being such a great player, not be happy where his situation is. But it's I mean, I don't know if Jimmy Butler's did everything that he could to play as hard as he could, or did everything to his most abilities with the Timberwolves. I want to believe that he did, and it wasn't enough for him to want to stay there, right? Again, I don't want to dog on Minnesota because I would love to go there one day. I have family there, right? But it's like I don't know. Maybe he wants to be in a place where like a city where it's more lively or whatever. I'm not saying, but I don't know if Philadelphia is. I know the Philadelphia comedy scene is like I've heard that that's just booming right now, and it's a very lively city and the city of brotherly love. Despite the fact that you guys got all well burnt and roasted by Bill Burr. If you guys haven't seen that video, you guys should check it out. It was he was very pissed, right? Well, anyways, yeah. So who did the Timberwolves have to get rid of? I mean, who did the Sixers have to get rid of in order to acquire Jimmy Butler? Let's find out, right? All right. So the Philadelphia Sixers traded they traded Dario Saric, Robert Covington, Jared Bayless, and a 2022 second round pick. So they traded all those things. So that's what one, two, three players and one pick, second round pick. So is that smart? Honestly, for the Timberwolves, maybe, right? Here's why. Jimmy Butler wasn't really expected to stay in Minnesota. He's already expressed his discomfort there. He's already expressed that he wanted to be traded. And then obviously, if a player wants to be traded or if a player doesn't want to play for that team anymore, what do you think he's going to do? He's going to leave. So I think it's smart in the Timberwolves, perspective, saying, well, if we're going to lose him, we might as well get something for him and get whatever best deal we can for him. That way, when he's gone, we're not stuck with anything, I think it's always difficult for a team to lose so many players at once and then assets. But this is the first time that I really see Philadelphia doing something other than they've been in the draft process for a while, right? And we can very possibly see a situation like how it was in Oklahoma City, right? I don't know if you guys remember when Oklahoma City, their stars were kind of bred from the draft mostly. So we had Russell Westbrook, we had Kevin Durant, who was I think he was moved there because the Seattle SuperSonics were canceled out. And then James Harden and Serge Ibaka and all these players, when they played together, it was like they weren't really traded there, or they weren't really acquired from another team. They were kind of acquired through the draft and because of unforeseen circumstances or whatever it might be. But we're kind of seeing the Wolves kind of develop from the draft, and we saw them get like a few number one picks already. We saw them trade the number one picks for Markelle Fultz and the Boston Celtics used that number one pick to get Jason Tatum, which I'm really glad that happened because he's a great player for as young as he is, and he's still got a lot of developing to do. So it's very exciting. So. Do I think this is a smart trade? First of all, if you're asking me because you're wondering what Carlos thinks, well, don't worry about what I think. I'm an idiot, right? I'm going to say all kinds of stupid things all the time, but I think this is a smart trade for both ends because now Philadelphia is going to, that city is going to be a lot more excited to watch basketball. They already got excited because Joel Embiid, as much as I don't like all the talking that he does, and he doesn't talk smack. He's not ready yet. I think you need to slow your roll. But right now, I might have to shut the hell up because it seems like Joel Embiid's team is gonna be something else, right? They're gonna be really good. Joel Embiid already, he's one of the dominant centers in the league, one of the best dominant centers in the league. He rebounds, he plays defense, he plays great offense, I think just the other night, he scored 48 or something. Like I said, everyone's scoring 40 and 50 and whatnot, and it's been really, really exciting. If you love scoring, then basketball is the sport for you to watch, right? Let me quickly talk about the Boston Celtics, and then I'll move on because I know that has to be really frustrating to be like, how come this guy always wants to talk about the Boston Celtics? It's because I'm a fan, right? So, anyways, the Boston Celtics haven't been doing as good as I thought they were going to be. I'm actually pretty disappointed in how they're playing, and I think that's simply because they kind of had to figure out some sort of system around Gordon Hayward being reintroduced into the lineup. And I'm not saying that is his fault or anything, but it's just like it seems we're still in off-season mode. You know, when teams are kind of like in preseason and they're kind of not really caring and they're kind of just going through the motions. I feel like that's how the Boston Celtics are playing right now. They're not playing with any. There's been times where they had to come back from they've had to grind out too many games by now, and you would think that at this point the Boston Celtics are supposed to be one of the best teams, if not the best team in the East. And it seems like that's not the case, right? They're over here losing close games. They're over here getting blown out and having to grind it out towards the fourth quarter, only to lose. I think that happened last night against who did they play against last night? I don't remember who they played against, but I think they started off with it was like 10-2, and you're like, oh, okay, so it's going to be one of those games where we can kind of take it slow. And I feel like that's the case with the Boston Celtics, is they start to take things slow because they're like, oh, well, we got this. We're the Boston Celtics. We're supposed to be number one. And then next thing you know, they're down, 20 points or whatever. So it's definitely not been exciting to watch. I thought this was going to be a lot more fun for a Celtics fan. And like I said, I don't want to blame anyone, because Brad Stevens is one of the most creative coaches. As a matter of fact, when he played, I think they had there was a news article on how he really broke down all of the Milwaukee Bucks' weaknesses, and he kind of like just took that. I don't know. He came up with a strategy for the Milwaukee Bucks, and it played out perfectly in the Boston Celtics' hands, right? And that's accredited to the genius that Brad Stevens is. And for him to do it for another 29 teams, it's kind of like, ooh, okay. To have a certain strategy, you kind of have to see the way the season plays out. So I'm not going to dog him too much, but I definitely thought that the Celtics were just going to steamroll everybody. And this scares me because Kyrie Irving's going to want to be on a good team, right? And now seeing the way Philadelphia is, and then the New York Knicks are they're creeping up very slowly. But then again, you got to remember that Kristaps Porzingis, the unicorn, he's not, he has not been playing yet. So that's definitely going to be a big factor in the New York Knicks once he comes back. But yeah, I'm not happy. But then again, the Celtics don't play for me. As a matter of fact, I don't even live in Boston. So to think that I can talk any kind of this is just coming from a fan, and I think they can definitely do better, and I think they definitely will do better, and I'm hoping that they do better, right? Now, one thing that I also I'm glad that I don't really need to talk too much about this, because news websites, they kind of chilled out now. So and that's good, because at the beginning of the season, the Lakers were like 0-4 or something, and news sites were just bombarding us with Laker headlines and LeBron headlines, and I get it. He's the best player in the league, whoever agrees with that opinion or whatever, but he's one of the greatest players, and then the Los Angeles Lakers are one of the most popular franchises, and of course everybody wants them to do good, except for Laker haters or whatever. But it's just like, man, it was very tiresome at one point, where it's like the Lakers could lose a game, and then instead of talking about how the other team won, they spent so much time talking on why the Lakers lost. And it's kind of frustrating as someone who's just a fan of basketball, who's like, what about the other team, the one that beat them? You're not going to have any headlines, any highlights, and any stats sheet. Well, the stat sheets you could find wherever. But look, what I'm saying is, like, there's no, for someone like me who doesn't really have cable TV or doesn't have the league pass, I kind of rely a lot on highlights on these news sites. And I would go to like ESPN, and I would go to like NBA.com, and I would see all these headlines and highlights on the Lakers, and I'm like, well, I thought you guys reported on all 30 teams, but you guys are only focusing on one, and that one team isn't doing so well. Right, there's teams who are playing very, very well. I remember when the Lakers played against the the San Antonio Spurs. It was I still remember the final score. I think it was 142 to 143. Then Spurs won, and it was crazy because I read this unbelievable headline that said 142 points. The Lakers scored 142 points, which is the most points ever scored by a LeBron-led team. And I'm like, yeah, but they lost, you know, and they also allowed 143 points from the San Antonio Spurs. And who's credited for those 143 points? DeMar DeRozan, who scored the exact same stat line as LeBron James, right? Which I think it was 32 points that night, 8 rebounds, and like 10 assists or something like that. I don't know for sure, but they scored the exact same stat line. And then LaMarcus Aldridge had a monster night, and I feel like LaMarcus Aldridge is one of the most underrated power forwards in the entire league. You don't hear his name anywhere. You don't really see highlights from him, and that's basically because he's playing for San Antonio, even though they've always been a good team, and they're always in the playoffs. And Greg Popovich always uses fundamentals to make his team very effective and play very well. We still see that there's just no recognition, unless they win a championship, and that's when they're like, oh well, Kawhi Leonard was a great player, and so we'll see how. So far, it's been really it's dwindled down. Like the NBA and ESPN, they're finally talking about everybody right now, which is great. Because right now that Jimmy Butler was traded to the 76ers, I expect there to be all kinds of headlines about it, right? Because it's big news. It's a blockbuster trade, and you'd expect a full coverage from it. But it's like it was getting a little frustrated to watch. It was like NBA.com and ESPN and The Score, all these sites, like I was questioning, like, hey, do you guys work for the Los Angeles Lakers, or do you work for for the league, or do you work for your own company? In sense of saying, like, you're supposed to hold this unbiased approach towards the game, because honestly, I think that's what we need. One thing that I really don't like is, like, for example, you watch if you were to watch a game on the League Pass, sometimes you'll turn on the TV and you'll put on a game, and say you're watching the Denver Nuggets versus the Brooklyn Nets, right? And then you turn on the TV, and then you're hearing commentators that are hired by the team, right? So say you're watching the Brooklyn Nets' stream, right? So that means their commentators are basically reporters for the Brooklyn Nets. And it's kind of like it's really weird, because they seem to like be cheering on the Brooklyn Nets, but when the Denver Nuggets come and do something amazing, like Jamal Murray scores all kinds of points, they kind of brush it off, and they kind of don't make a big deal out of the team that's winning, just because they have to be a bias. They're hired by the team to kind of to report them and to kind of fluff the team up, so that's for those fans, right? But when you go to like Sports Center, or when you see NBA TV, or when you see ESPN or whatever, when they play those games on TNT, they're supposed to have this unbiased approach to it, and a lot of the times they do. But I've noticed sometimes where they're just like, "Oh, LeBron James scores a 3, and then DeMar DeRozan will tie the game up, and they'll with a simple layup." That Coach Pop drew up, like, out of a great pick and pop or pick and roll situation, and they'll just be like, oh well, he just DeMar DeRozan for 2, So and I'm not saying that it happens that drastically, but it definitely has been frustrating to see stuff like that. And one thing that I'm so thankful for is these news sites stop talking about LeVar Ball. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. I wanted to cry, when I saw, except for Snapchat. Snapchat, they're all Lakered out one. They talk about the Lakers all the time, and then they just recently started talking about LaMelo Ball, which is really creepy. This dude's a high schooler. Don't be a pedophile now, right? Let him go to college. Let him figure all that stuff out. Go to UCLA or USC or whatever, and then have him go to China and try to steal something. Oh wait, that's his brother. Anyways. So just leave the kid alone, man. Just let him develop. He maybe he'll be a better player if you do that. But if you guys just shoving cameras in his face, and you're watching him all the time, 24/7, I was like, it's gonna get to his head. He's gonna turn into a Kardashian, right? So just let the kid be a high schooler. I mean, I know that's difficult to kind of do because he's like supposed to be some all-star athlete. But let the kid just develop his game and don't make a big deal of it until, like, it's kind of like, what's his name? LeBron James' son. He's going to be a good basketball player, unless he decides not to be, But obviously, if he wants to follow in his father's footsteps, his father's one of the greatest of all time. And that's got to be one of the most difficult things ever, too, for someone like Bron Jr. is he's got to, Phil, he's always going to be compared to his dad, even if he's like not even that good. It's kind of like John Stockton's son. I don't even remember his name, but he was tried in the league and it kind of didn't really work out. I don't know. I don't even know if he's still playing in the league, but I don't know how many people even knew he played in the league for a while. But, and I'm not saying that he's not good, because guaranteed every single player, every single person probably that plays basketball is probably better than I am, right? I'm not a good basketball player. I mean, I'm decent, but I'm also 5'6" and a Mexican. I'm not gonna be good at basketball. And I'm not saying Mexicans aren't good at basketball. I have cousins who are freaking great. Well, they're not great, but they're good. So I don't know. We'll see how that plays out. But the NBA's in full effect, and I can't wait to see how everything's gonna continue. What else do I got? I don't think I really have much else other than that. Right now it seems like like I said, it's been a very, I don't know what the word to use, but it seems like scoring is just increased in the NBA. So I think, this is one thing that I did want to talk about. Yeah, so I went on Instagram and I talked bad about soccer. I do that all the time because I'm not really a big fan of soccer. As a matter of fact, I dislike soccer. And someone had asked me, well, why is it that you hate soccer so much? First of all, this is a personal opinion on mine, because people just would not let it go. They're like, Carlos, but you can dig deep enough and find like pictures of me somewhere, with the like dressed up as a soccer player, because that's what I. It's funny how I say dressed up like a soccer player, like if it was for Halloween, but no, because I used to play soccer when I was young, and but I don't anymore because I my attention span isn't. Like, I need something happening, I need action, and I need, athleticism in front of my face. Because in soccer, it's kind of like just back and forth, low scoring, people falling on the ground for no reason. And that I can't do, man. Like, I understand that there's flopping in the NBA, and there's people acting like they get injured just to get a foul call. But in soccer, it's like over exaggerated. Someone will touch someone's shoulder and they'll fall to the ground and to hold their knee, like if they're about to like lose it, and like they act like they're about to die, and it's like there's no repercussions for that. I mean, at least in the NBA, like if you flop, you will get a call from the NBA and you will be fined. Like it's just, that's what it is. You get fined for flopping in the NBA. I don't know for how much money or how many offenses. I don't really, but I know that it's a fact that people have been fined for flopping. Marcus Smart has been one, right? And we've seen plenty of players get fined for flopping, because they want to discourage that. It slows down the game. It also adds a. I mean, it could be seen as strategy for the team that gets the ball afterwards or gets the shot afterwards, but it slows down the game. It's you're getting foul calls for someone that shouldn't have been called, so it's like, it sucks to see stuff like that. But in soccer, it's like, I don't like, unless it's like close to the goal and they get to shoot a penalty, it really has no benefits. I've seen soccer players or football players, whatever you want to call them, fall on the ground, roll around, and then they get back up, kick the ball that way, and then 10 seconds later the ball gets kicked this way. So it's like, well, You didn't even have to fall. You just stopped the game, or you didn't even stop the game because the clock keeps rolling. You know. But yeah, I can't watch it. I think if you guys want to make soccer exciting, there's so many things that you can do. One, just throw weapons out on the field. You know, throw swords, big old hammers, and then every once in a while, just have people, gladiator each other. That'll excite the game. I just can't see how soccer is exciting to me. I don't see it being exciting. The World Cup happened a few months ago. But it's like I just can't get into it for that very reason. It's just it's too dramatic in that case, and it's very anticlimactic, But yeah, no, but in all realness, you don't have to throw weapons on the field to make it exciting, right? All you gotta do is really not for me to watch, but one thing that you do have to fix for sure is these floppings. Put a flopping rule. Like the referee, if he sees and he notices that someone's flopping, just leave the guy on the front, on the floor. Leave him there until he gets up. Trust me, he'll be fine. He's gonna end up looking like an idiot, like, oh, they didn't call that foul call or whatever. That's fine. Just keep it playing. Or even that's the thing. Everyone should just keep playing, and then you should just grab the dude by the ankles and just pull him out of the field and just drop another person via helicopter or something. That'd be a sight to watch. But yeah, I don't know. Soccer's never been really my go-to. I used to love it when I was little, but that was because my brain hasn't fully developed. Now that it has, I'm all about the NBA and stuff. I also like MMA and all that stuff. UFC. We just recently I just recently watched a DC fight against Derek Lewis, which it's crazy that Derek Lewis was even fighting because he fought like 2 fights this month. It's crazy. But anyways, my favorite fight that has happened I don't know. There's been so many good fights, but we saw Khabib Nurmagomedov fight against Conor McGregor, and McGregor lost that one due to a rear naked choke, so that was very exciting. And then Khabib Nurmagomedov went crazy, and you guys know the whole story and the whole spiel and all that, so I don't need to remind you guys. But just know, I guess I'm just sharing my opinions, and I promise you these videos are gonna get better. I promise. But yeah, that being said, I'll go ahead and end it here. If you guys are watching, thank you so much. It's very hard to get guests, really. So hopefully I'll be able to get some of my cousins together, because they're all they're all Laker fans, so it'll be real hard to defend myself amongst them. But they're fun people to hang out with, and I think a good podcast is hanging out with people that are cool to hang out with. So with that being said, y'all, thank y'all for watching. I got music. Oh, one more thing. Look out for me. Hopefully doing some stand-up comedy pretty soon. I did an open mic. I'm keep doing open mics, and I'm gonna try to do comedy. So, follow me on Los Patino Comedy.